Okay. I'm here with Michael Miller, my friends. Welcome back to another episode, interview slash conversation with an amazing higher ed professional. I gotta be honest, I've known Michael Miller is a mentor of mine, and I know he's on the screen right now. So this may turn into more of a conversation. So I apologize for my interview skills already because we've already had fun even before I hit record. Michael Miller, as fast as you can, every institution that you were a student in and that you've worked in, go.
Framingham State University, Quinnipiac College, Loyola University of Chicago, Quinnipiac University, Wentworth Institute of Technology, and Quinnipiac University again.
Really? Okay. They kept bringing you back.
Yeah.
All right. Now, where did you go to high school?
I went to Cardinal Spellman High School in the Bronx, New York. I'm a proud pilot.
Now, can you give me like a ballpark number of how many colleges you've visited since?
Yeah, I have presented at over 550 colleges and universities in the country.
Awesome.
Most of those, thank goodness, are repeats. So there are some universities where I've worked with them for 15, 16 years.
Right.
And then every year there's a new ones. And I have my new college. I love them too. So but
making new friends.
Yes.
Making
the new college.
Well, the reason that I wanted to bring that up is that you have a really broad perspective of higher education, right? And that is why I want to talk to you today, because you have the perspective of seeing things evolve over time, seeing people face challenges, seeing campuses change, seeing things happen in the world, and seeing resiliency and grit and people who succeed and people who fall apart.
Cindy Kane, that's our colleague Cindy Kane calling me.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
Take it. Let's see if we can get her on here.
See, you would be thrilled to get it on.
This is one of the beautiful things about the technology, right? I think that, like, if we had been in like a board meeting, you know, maybe if that was my phone, you would have glared at me for being so rude. But here, like, we don't even know how to turn off our own computer sound. Like, we're like.
No, I figured out how to turn off the dinging of the texts on my computer, but I haven't figured out how to disable FaceTime yet. After this, that'll be the next thing I do.
Right. She wants to chat with you. I'm glad.
I can tell you, I appreciate what you're saying, because, you know, for those of us that serve higher education, like that's my primary market. I do corporate stuff and I love that too. But, you know, the show is important, and Lord knows you as a performer know that, but the show is always important. But to me, the show is only about what happens in higher education and what we're able to touch and influence. So being engaged with colleges both over time and initially, there's always this sense of how could we do it better, or how can we help people be their best without being too Pollyanna or crazy, you know? So I appreciate what you're saying, and about perspective. Really, it's been interesting to watch what happens at college and universities, you know, and I love working with our students, but also with the faculty and staff. You know, it's really a privilege to be able to influence what the important things that our colleagues do on the campus. And having been one of those, I think I bring a unique view of that, you know? Right.
And what, you know, the last few months have obviously been an interesting chapter in all of our lives. Not to gloss over it, but also I don't want to dig into all the things that have happened. I want to focus on what you've seen that's really stand out in the whole community, and what you've seen that's really worked well in bringing people together.
Well, you know, as always, I think we can always take a note from our students. We can always learn from the students. And, you know, with the Black Lives Matter issue, don't talk about the inability to engage virtually or the inability to make things happen. Our students have demanded things. They have gotten together and made demands. And that's their ability to advocate, but also their ability to harness the technology to get together and create expectations that they have for their institution. And now, of course, it's always in the brokering of that. It's always in the working with the administration, the students working effectively, which we all love to help our students be more articulate or advocate for issues. But I think that's great. I think it's happening. You know, talk about being woke. The kids are woke in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah, good for them. Because they're the ones that can say and do things that our colleagues who are advisors have to be more careful about. The students can say what they want to and deliver that message to the president or to the VPs and do that unabashedly. And that's good. And that's what they should do. It's appropriate for students to express their desires. They're adults and they're the end user of what the institutions are doing. They have more experience than we do with that because we're not students, you know? So that's something great that I've seen happen. I'm hopeful that some of this is going to take, some of the things we're seeing are going to take, not only in higher ed, but in society. I feel this has really influenced things this time. And I'm hopeful that we see in society and, you know.
Right. I think it's interesting that you say that the students have the ability to say something that an employee couldn't say.
Yeah.
Right. And so as advisors, we could encourage, or as coaches or as mentors or as speakers, we really want to encourage the students to speak when it's time to, like when they know that it's time to speak, they use the platform and share what's on their mind. Right.
No, and that's why like when we think about the leadership training that we do with any students, but particularly the closely advised student organizations, your program board, your student government, your interfraternity council, your Pan-Atlantic, right? You know, the skill of advocacy, and it is a skill. There's technique to advocacy. It's important. It's important that our kids learn that there are better ways than others to make those demands and what's their part in making certain things happen and what is the place where you set expectations and work with the faculty or staff to make things happen. You know, my whole goal is always in community. It's easy to make demands, but then what's the follow-up? And the follow-up can be done during the advocacy process, you know, but if the students know how to do that, they enter at a really mature level in the conversation that the campus is having. And that's why I love, it's not the most thrilling topic to train on, but that's why I always love when I have the opportunity to work with particularly student government, but any of the governing groups or the larger umbrella groups on advocating, you know, or the specialty groups that are maybe smaller, but have an agenda, you know, your LGBTQ group or your Black Student Union. Like I love working with them too, but I love getting into that space of the advocacy. It's fun. It's fun. I was a student government president, so that's in me.
You are definitely somebody who would speak up, even probably at that time of your life, right?
Yeah, but I could have used some training then.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about, is the etiquette of advocacy. Yeah. Right? There's got to be an etiquette to advocacy, which is sort of what you were referring to. Is it time and place? Is it email versus tweeting? Is it TikTok requests? Is it, you know?
I mean, I always laughed. One of the schools I worked at, my students did a presentation, and it was to get funding for something. And actually, the VP of Student Affairs very skillfully put them with a committee of the board of trustees.
Yeah.
And the students did what I deemed as the advisor an average presentation. It wasn't as good as it could have been, right? But it was fine. It was certainly, I had worked with them, but it was one of those times when they didn't have a lot of time to get it ready. Like we didn't have a lot of time to practice it and fix it. But they did it. The kids did the job. It wasn't great though. So I didn't know it was gonna happen, but they dressed up. They wore, the men wore jackets and ties. The women wore, they wore blazer and skirts. They showed up, they presented, and the presentation was good enough. But when the kids left, the students left, and I say kids with love, I mean nothing pejorative about that. When the students left the room, they invited me to stay as the advisor for the discussion. One of the women on the board said, "Oh, they are so beautiful. Give those kids whatever they want."
That's awesome.
And I thought, you know what? Presentation too, it matters. How you put the time, place, and manner. The manner matters, right? Depending on what you're trying to do. You know, if you're just trying to get attention, you know, then do the sit-in. But if you want to engage to make change, you could do the sit-in and then do other things too. You know what I mean? Like, and that's great.
Yeah, we do have a sort of a culture right now of posting our complaints rather than advocating for our needs, right?
Right. You know, but I do want to back up the students here.
Yeah.
I'm tired of everybody bashing the millennials and bashing Gen Z. Like, they're fine. They're fine, these kids. They're excellent. I love them, by the way. I will work with them always. I'm tired of the bashing of them. But it's very easy just to say what you want and expect somebody to do something, right? But on the other hand, it's also a large expectation for us to think that the students would know how to fix any of this. Some of it is not theirs to fix. They're pointing the problem at. How did they're not experts either. And by the way, maybe none of us are, but then what they're saying is we need to figure this out to deliver the best, most equitable, most inclusive experience to the students. In this case, if we're talking about the DEI issues, you know, yeah. So I think there is skill with that, and you know, you can't blame people for not knowing what they don't know, and that includes us staff people too. Like, we don't know things, and we have to learn. You know?
Right.
The pandemic has taught us all that. You know, well, I love what I do. I am blessed to have a career that I love, and my favorite part is being live with my students, faculty, and staff groups I work with. Right. Then the pandemic hit, and that's not possible anymore. So like the book, Who Moved My Cheese? By the way, anybody out that's listening to us, if you haven't read that, this is exactly what happened to me and to people like me. The cheese moved. How we do what we do is no longer a possibility. So for me to do what I love to do, I better learn how to use Zoom. I better learn how to virtually engage people, because if I want to continue doing the thing I love, I don't have a choice. I have to do it this way for now. And I can't wait to go back. I can't wait to fly 4 days a week again. I can't wait. And it's going to happen. We're going to come back. Things are going to go back to the way we remember them. But we're going to take something better with us. We're going to take this with us. And this is going to have application into the future that's going to make things even better than it was before. But that's not Pollyanna. We're going through a lot of hardship right now. Almost me included. But there are silver linings. And that's going to be one of them. We're going to be able to harness this in ways we had not thought about it because we didn't have to. And the cheese moved, and we moved with the cheese.
Yeah, no, I know the story of the cheese. Could you, in 30 seconds, explain the story?
There are 4 characters who live in a maze. This is, by the way, we have to give credit. Spencer Johnson, Dr. Spencer Johnson wrote this book.
The book is called Who Moved My Cheese?
Who Moved My Cheese? So very quickly, the 4 characters, 2 little humans and 2 like mice characters, live in a maze. Hem and haw and sniff and scurry, right? And what it does is it tells the story of how each of them approaches the fact that every day where they went to get the cheese, first they ignored that the cheese was shrinking. It was getting smaller. And then one day they went, the cheese wasn't there. And it tells the story of what you can do to deal with things when the cheese moves, right? And it's exactly what the pandemic has done to those of us that serve on ground with our higher ed. We can't do it. The cheese is gone. We woke up literally one day and it wasn't there anymore. What are we going to do? You know, we're going to learn the ways we can do it. And then we survive, right? And then we start to thrive. We start to like it. We start to see the advantages.
Well, so now you've been presenting virtually for a few months, and you've probably developed different skills and ways to engage on this platform. Do you have favorite ways of connecting with people through this platform?
Anybody that uses Zoom regularly knows the trepidation of the first time you do breakout rooms. The fear and the horror that it's not going to work, and the fear and fright that you can't control it, and that you don't know what's going on in all the breakout rooms, and do you know how to visit? Are you going to shut the meeting down? And then it becomes one of your best friends, because you can create small groups. You can create 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 5-on-1. I have them do small group work. They come back and they report. And do they want to turn on their mic? No. And you know what? They don't have to. You're not comfortable turning your camera and your mic on?
Right.
Chat to me. Chat it out. I'll read it for you. right? But
Right.
they're still doing the work and they're still engaging. So that's,
Yeah.
everyone, if once you learn the breakout rooms, you love to do it. So that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But everyone's gotten nimble. Everyone's gotten nimble with this. The
Right.
chat function, creating when you have materials. And by the way, our colleagues who work on campus, I want you to think about this. I'm sure you do this, but I like my students, so I use materials during my sessions. They have to read things beforehand sometimes, and the advisors send them out to the students, but you don't know if they've read them or not. It's not likely, and then I can't hand the handout out because we're not together. Well, do you know about file transfer? Right? Do you create the Google Doc? I do it all. There is absolutely no way my students in my sessions can't get access to the materials. Like and by the way, that's because I'm nervous about it and I care.
Yeah.
I want them to have access, but it also provides multiple ways. If they're on their phone or if they're on their computer or if they're on their iPad, they can get to the materials that we need for us to do the session. I worried about that so much initially, and now I'm like, oh, I got it. I'm paying attention to your settings beforehand, and if you don't own your meeting, like I'm not the host always, or it's not my Zoom account, communicating correctly with the client to tell them what setup you need, because certain functions and features don't appear unless it's in the settings. So but the bottom line for this, Jason, and I don't mean to go on about Zoom, but those of us, our advisors, our people who work on campus are talented facilitators themselves. They know how to facilitate information in excellent manners, right? Right, and think about the tools we use on ground, right? The tools we use to do that, our presentation skills, our slides, our materials, right? All Zoom is the conduit for that. It's a facilitation tool. And for us to facilitate remotely or virtually, however you refer to it, requires, that's all it is. It's the tool, it's the conduit. Zoom does nothing but makes it possible. Zoom's the entree. Zoom's the meeting room. That's all it is.
Yep.
So my friends and folks out there that get nervous about it, don't be nervous. It's just a meeting room, but and over time you'll figure it out. Get together with your friends and play with it. You'll get it in a minute. Sure. I do it all the time. I do these little tutorials with our colleagues. It's so fun, but you'll get it. You'll get it. It works too.
But thinking about all of the technology as a tool to do what you are already good at doing, right? And if you're a new advisor, maybe you're developing your skills, but really all of these things, they're tools. Like you're not going to use a screwdriver to nail a nail in the wall. The goal that we have is the connection, right? The goal that we have is the connection and the sharing of the information. As long as we continue to see the reason that we're here in the first place. Like if we take a step back and look at the big picture, why are we teaching students? Because we want them to have a great college experience and we want them to graduate, right? Like bigger picture. This is just a tiny thing along the way, right?
I get up every day, not about only what they can do in their program board or in their student organization. That's anybody who does what we do. This is like your way of helping these kids back up what their degree means. Like I'm talking about validity. They don't only have a degree in the subject they study, they can back that thing up with skills that apply in any of their, that's why I get up every day. Right. I know what it did for me, having these experiences, and I hope in small ways that our people take away what they learn from their involvement. And if we can mitigate, we come in and mitigate, we give tools and skills that help them do it. That's what their advisors do on ground with them every day, and now virtually with them every day. That's what they're doing. We come in and back it up. We help them back up what we want the kids to get, the students to get.
Right. All right.
They need stuff too. They need it too. They need development as well.
All right, change topic here. Do you remember your first live concert?
First live concert I attended.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a little stunning.
Who'd you go see?
Well, wait. So, first live concert that I was not the advisor at.
No, let's go back even further, like high school.
No, I didn't go to one concert in high school.
You didn't? Not until you got to college?
Graduate school.
No kidding, you never saw it?
In college, we had a concert on campus, and I went to that. So Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes.
Oh, what a great band.
And by the way, Modern English.
Oh, another great band.
I Melt With You was their big
Yeah.
hit.
How does that song go?
I'll stop the world and melt with you.
You
see
see the difference.
and it's getting better all the time. There's nothing you and I won't do. That's it, Jason. That's all you get from me when it comes to singing.
I got it. I got it. So before we started, so Michael had heard rumors that I was able to get everyone to sing a song, and Michael's like, "I'm not going to sing a song.
No, wait. Jason, I have to say, in fairness, you're right. I did say that, but I want everyone to know it's not because I want to be. I don't want to be like a good guy and support you. No one wants to hear this voice. People barely want to hear this voice when I'm speaking. They don't want to hear me singing.
No,
but I need to tell you though, I had a lead, by the way, every year in high school, in the musical. In my high school, I have sung on stages from the time I was in third grade. As usual, my energy saves me. They forgive the off key for the performance of values.
Man, I love that song. I love your singing. We're gonna do karaoke next time we're at a conference or something. It'd be great, right?
Yes. I can't wait for that moment. I can't wait for us to be together live.
Yeah, we'll do a duet. Hey, what advice do you have for everyone?
That would be my greatest thrill, to do a duet with you.
Wouldn't it be nice? Maybe we could record it and have it professionally done in the studio and release it. We'll release it as a single.
Let's drop it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you asking? That's germane to the topic.
If I'm looking for some advice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are you doing to stay healthy at home? Right.
I am so proud. First of all, I want everyone to know you did not tell me you were going to really ask me that. I didn't think we were going to get to that. Right. So I made a promise, Jason LeVasseur. I made a promise that I was not going to gain weight during COVID. Now, the audience should know I used to weigh 310 pounds. I used to be a big guy. So in my life, I went to Weight Watchers. I lost 110 pounds in my life. But that's a struggle always. I always have to pay attention because I have a propensity to eat a lot and I love food and such. But I started on March 16th. I went on a major food plan. And I want you to know, last week I ran 30 miles.
What?
When we get off, I'm going to run today. I live in New York City.
Yeah.
So Central Park is my domain when it comes to running. I did in 3 runs. I ran 10.6 on Monday of last week. I ran 12.6 on Tuesday, and then I ran 8 on Wednesday, right? 10, 20, a little over 30 miles. So I'm serious. I'm not going to be the victim of this. And I'm in serious note with that, like physically and mentally. I promised myself that I would not knuckle to the pressure of what this pandemic is doing to us. I'm a social person. I'm a travel person, but health and safety of everybody comes first. So when it came to settling in place, I settled in place. I did not. I wear a mask. I believe in all of that, and I don't want to be. And why the mask has to be political, I don't know, because it's ridiculous. Because all I do is I don't want to give somebody the virus. That's why I wear a mask even when I'm running, and I take it down when I can socially distance. So that's what I've done. I've paid attention to what I eat.
Yeah.
And I run.
So did you have time? So from the time you lost 110 pounds to COVID, did you have times when you were struggling?
Yeah, but not that anyone would really notice.
Well, no, not notice, like not visual, but I'm thinking about somebody right now who hasn't been taking care of themselves and really is start today, start tomorrow, start today.
Well, just do something small.
Yeah.
My whole thing is doing this. The hardest part is not doing it. The hardest part is getting started doing it. Okay. So if you don't set out to run a marathon today, right? You set that as the goal of what you want, and then you take small steps that lead to the big thing. So what's the thing you need to do? Cut out the ice cream. If you're eating ice cream every night, right? You're having 4 glasses of wine every night. That's only adding to the issue. If you gained 15 pounds over COVID, first of all, that's not abnormal. What have we been able to do? And by the way, you're home and you're cooking again, and But
Yeah.
starting with the small thing and then adding it, and little things add up. I'm a big thing on feedback, right? Because Weight Watchers about it's feedback, not failure. So you have to have some way. If you attempt to take steps, you should have some way to get feedback. So if that's a scale, or if that's measuring yourself, and then measuring yourself again, like the scale doesn't have to be the only way, but the scale's probably the quickest way. If you measure yourself, it just takes longer to see what's happening, but over time you're going to do it. I probably lost about 10 pounds over the course of this, not really intentionally, but when you take care of yourself, it works. But it's not easy.
Right, but you've gotten a lot better at taking care of yourself. How long did it take you to get started when you like?
From the time, okay, so from the time
like rewind to the years where you weighed over 300 pounds.
Yeah, from the time I was 14 until I was 30.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is that? 16 years?
But
yeah.
And it wasn't that you decided at 30 that you wanted to start, right? You wanted to start at 20.
How many times did I attempt?
Okay. I think that's a really important thing to hear, Michael.
No, there's a chapter that, I'm part of a threesome that wrote a book. It's called The Now Factors of College Success.
Yeah.
And, Jermaine Davis and Nancy Hunter Denny and I wrote that. And one of my chapters is on nutrition in college, and it's about staying sharp. And it's techniques, small meals, early, make healthy choices, planned indulgences. You can indulge. You can have McDonald's. You could have that Sunday. You just can't do it all the time. You have to watch. You have to kind of play with it. And by the way, when you get good at that, it becomes almost like a game. And I enjoy that part. It's like, how much can I watch so that on Friday I can eat whatever I want,
Sure.
But I'm a healthy eater anyway. I love vegetables and fruits, and I'm lucky. I'm disposed that way. Junk food is not always my turn on. So
okay, but if you did send yourself a care package of bad for you, what's your guilty thing that you're going to put in your care package?
Anything salty. I'm lucky. You could give me chocolate and it would stay in my fridge for months.
No kidding.
Only in a desperate moment or craving moment would I eat that. But if you put chips, pretzels, any kind of mixed nuts, particularly like cashews, almonds, pistachios, I have a hard time. I could eat the whole 10-ounce tin of those.
Okay, so
I don't have them as pasta. Pasta would be in that box.
Yeah, sure.
I'm Italian American, and it would be a great food. My mother is a very good cook, and sauces every night, all different kinds, white sauces and red sauces and pink sauces, and good food, healthy food, but
a lot of it, right? A lot of it,
right?
Yeah, a lot of it.
Portion size is my biggest issue. That's what I have to control.
Yeah.
I have to watch how much I eat, not what I eat. What I eat's good. How much I eat is the problem.
Right. Man, good. It's good to hear that story, because I think there's a lot of folks who try something and then stop because it didn't go right the first time.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, and you get discouraged, and that's normal. I was discouraged many times. I thought that you needed some kind of super willpower. I thought you needed to be the kind of person. See, when you look at me now, you're like, oh, you're that kind of person. You're a motivational speaker. No, I tried 50 times. It doesn't require anything other than what you have. Other than you have to really want it. If you want to do it, that's the thing that nobody probably can help you with. You have to have a goal. But why does the goal have to be 100 pounds? My goal was not. My goal was 10%. I lost 26 pounds. And what's nice about it, and I'm not selling Weight Watchers because all the programs work, but Weight Watchers is excellent. And when I lost the 10%, I got a little chain, a little gift.
Okay.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do next? And at that moment, it's the most powerful moment in my whole weight loss thing. Almost as important as the day I got to my goal weight. She said to me, the person who weighed me, and I went to this center near Quinnipiac University where I used to work. Yeah. She said to me, well, what's your next goal? And I said, well, I don't know. What do you think? She goes, well, it could be 5 more pounds. It could be another 10% of your current weight. She goes, and she looked me in the eye. Kathy, what's her name? I'll never forget her. She looked me in the eye. She had beautiful blue eyes. She looked me in the eyes and she said, or you could just go all the way, because all it takes to go all the way is to do keep doing what you've already done. I could cry, Jason, because that moment was the moment that I knew at that moment. By the way, it was only 26 pounds. I had another almost 90 pounds to lose, right? I knew. I said, this is the time I'm going to do this because I could do this. I'd been doing it for 3 months. I could keep doing this.
Right.
It was working.
Yeah, that's great.
Right. Yeah. And I didn't start exercising. I've other advice. Don't do everything at once. If you want to control your eating, then control your eating. Like get a handle on your calories and how many calories you're taking. Get a handle on that. Yeah. I lost, I think I lost, it was 26 pounds before I started working out. Then I started doing Richard Simmons, Sweat to the Oldies. I'm admitting it. I'm copping to it.
I love Richard Simmons.
It's excellent. I wrote him a love letter when I got to my goal weight. I wrote him a love letter and thanked him because I've run a marathon in my life, right? But without Sweating to the Oldies, that would have been impossible. That's what got me started. Right. When you at that point after 26 pounds, what did I weigh? I weighed 190, 184, a lot. I'm sorry, 284 I weighed. You're not going to go to a gym. You're not confident enough to go in a gym with the muscle heads and the people, you're not going to do that, but so I did it in my house. And then I remember one day about 3 months into doing the Sweating to the Oldies 5 days a week, I went out and I went running and I just ran. After I did the workout video, I just ran. I had sneakers on and I just ran. And when I tracked the mileage, it was 5 miles.
That's cool.
I did a 40-minute workout tape. I ran 5 miles. This is me who weighed 310 pounds, couldn't run a mile. Never run a mile. So again, not what's so great about me. It's when you do small things repeatedly, it winds up. It's like anything else. Weight loss is the same as goals. It's the small, repeated good actions take you everywhere you want to be, professionally, personally, and physically.
Right. I'm gonna go back to Richard Simmons. Yeah. Because the element of Richard Simmons that I think helps a lot of people in the fitness world is that it is fun. It's fun. It's just fun, right? You're dancing to songs. He is a personality, and it's low impact, right? It's not. You're not doing 20 push-ups. Nope. You're standing on your tiptoes, right? It's like.
By the way, I'm going to tell you something. Every now and again, I do it, and I sweat still. Granted, I can do it in a way now that I couldn't do when I started, but yes, you are right. And by the way, it's music. It's fun music. It's fun. It's fun. I have a fantasy of doing a workout video, getting my aerobic certification and doing a workout video.
Oh my gosh, can I be like the guy in the back row?
You need to do the music for it.
Oh, I'll do the music for it, but wouldn't it be fun? Like you're gonna have you're gonna have it in a gym with mirrors and. Like, or is it just going to be you? I want to be in the class.
I would love it. Somebody's going to carry on his work.
Will you get one of the microphones? Got
to carry on his work. I wouldn't mind taking on his work. He's changed a million lives. He's changed a million lives.
Well, but there's always somebody there's like the front row. The front row are following you perfectly. They get it. They've been doing it with you for a long time. The second row are the people that are just learning. The third row are people who got there that day. Yes. And I want to be the guy that showed up that day. Yeah. I don't know what these moves are.
Everything you said about him is correct, but there's one other thing that his videos did that has application for those of us that work with students. It's inclusive. There's ripped guy, and then there's overweight man, and there's a person who has maybe 15. He really was creative in who was in it. Everybody didn't look alike. Everybody didn't. They were all races. All.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And that when you're starting out, you don't only want to see the beautiful people. You want to see the people that look like you. And by the way, isn't that a great way to bring it back to the DEI stuff? Like, you want to see people like you. You want to, when you're starting out. When you get confident, you get good at it, then you can delve out on your own. Then I graduated to like serious weightlifting and aerobic videos, circuit training, boxes. I wore weights on my ankles, and these were the videos of the robots. They were perfectly physically fit people, And that was nice too. I was like, oh, wait, wow, I can keep up with them now. You know what I mean? But nothing like that. And then he would have them come down and talk about how much weight they lost. And one of the people was just starting. You know, it's fantastic. But that was groundbreaking when he did that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I want to check with you on something because I know you want to clarify this because you're using the term beautiful people as the supermodels, right? The supermodels is what you mean by beautiful people. You were beautiful when you started, right? like you were beautiful. You're only it's a way of describing the people. When you started and you were 300 pounds, you were a beautiful person, but you maybe you didn't know it.
You don't, and that's true of all of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can look at a person maybe who had some weight to lose, and I could say, man, they're beautiful, right?
Yeah.
But you don't do that for yourself. You know, you do yourself. And one of the things I always tell my students, Jason, I quote, I was an English major in college. So, you know, were you too? Were you English?
I was, yeah.
I know that. Another thing we have in common. I always quote the poet Robert Burns. He wrote, "O what some power a gift to give us to see ourselves as others see us." And in modern English, that means, oh God, what a power you would give me to see myself as others see me. And when I look at our students and I see how beautiful they are and how capable and competent and how much they have to offer the world, and they don't know it. And you know, I hope in whatever way those of us that serve those students, faculty, staff, if we can get them to see it a little bit, and by the way, for real, not fake out, not telling somebody they're great when they're not great.
Yeah.
Give them an award for nothing. I'm saying when we see that, and I see it in the student leaders, they're showing up and their interest for no money and wanting to make their campus better, right? Our faculty and staff, what won't they do? The good ones for their students. They take calls at 11 o'clock at night. They're responding to things on the weekend because they love their kids, because they see the value. And that's what they're trading, is value for value. I wish that they could see themselves that way. I wish they could see themselves the way we see them, because they're beautiful, and they're beautiful in every way.
Oh, that's a really good point. Like, you and I go onto a call with a group of students and we see potential, right? And they don't yet see the potential.
No.
In themselves, right? And that's what I think that's really important. That's why, I think that's sort of a perspective of a teacher, you know.
Yeah, you know, when they make a comment, when I'm presenting material and they make a comment, I say to them, "You're blowing me away." I normally have to pull teeth to get somebody to say that. They're stunned. It's like it's the first time somebody told them. And it's not the first time that they've given a good insight, had good feedback. But I'm like, wow, you know, that's smart. And by the way, I want to say this. It's not just that the four-year colleges and the excellent schools. It's at the two-year colleges too. My community college kids knock me out. They knock me out. And they're like, oh, shucks. I'm like, not all shucks. What are you doing with this gift? You know, what are you doing with that? Because you got something here, you know, and I try when I can and when it's appropriate to tell them, even one-on-one. Sometimes I'll say, you know, wow, but you can't always get to them. And by the way, sometimes we feel funny. You know, you feel funny. You know, I don't want to be too personal. I don't want to trespass on you, even if it's something good, but we shouldn't do that. We should be telling each other the feedback, particularly when it's to build somebody up, even if it's negative, but it's going to build them up.
Yeah. Can I share something that I learned from an advisor in North Dakota? It was a study. It's a study, and you may have heard of it, but it's called the liking gap. And I've been sharing this with all my students. And you know, it's done by Cornell, Harvard, Yale, Oxford psychologists. The conclusion of the study is people like you more than you think they do. Right, that's it. Like, that's the conclusion. Like, we think people don't like us that much, like, or our first impressions aren't as good as they could be. But we are really, as a people, we're critical in those moments. But the conclusion of the study is people like you more than you think they do. Isn't that cool?
Yes, that's very cool. And by the way, if that's true, and if it's based in that kind of research, it must be. Yeah. We can extrapolate value from that.
Sure.
For our faculty and staff that are working with students right now. If you're going into these virtual moments, right, these remote moments, thinking they really don't want to be there, they want to be there.
Yeah.
They're craving contact, connection, and community. That's what they want. That's why they get involved. The things they get involved in is almost secondary. And I know our staff knows that. Like, I know they know the value of involvement. But I'm reminding you that we can't go into this saying, I know that we have to do it this way, and I know that you don't really want to be here, and I know that you live in Hawaii and it's 6 a.m. and you had to be on this call. That's the reality. That's what it is. And I know this because I did training at Suffolk University. I did their orientation leader training for their June program, and I had just a great time with them. They're great. These kids are just so talented and so into this, and they were going to save the day because they flipped orientation on a dime, right? And then I went back to their staff meeting during the program because I was presenting to the parents during the program, and they invited me to one of their morning staff meetings, and they were together. You felt this was the OLs. They were together. They were connected. They were tight.
Yeah.
And it worked. The virtual connection. They had never been physically together. The 12 of them, never.
Yeah, never. Right.
But you felt it, and the way we interacted was like old friends. We laughed. They said, it's working. It's working. The students, our new students, it's working. They're feeling it. I can't wait to meet them. This is exactly what's happened. But think about how different that would be if you went into that thinking they don't want to be here. They don't want to do this. They don't like me, right?
Yeah.
That's what we need, our orientation leaders, and we need our student leaders to remember when they begin their organization online, through this format. Don't go in with that. It's like I tell whenever I do presentation skills training, right? Don't start out telling me what you don't know or what you don't like. This is the worst thing you could do. Why would you go and do an educational session and say, I'm not an expert on this, or, I really suck at this? Why would you do that?
Right.
You're giving me a reason then not to pay attention to you. So start big. By the way, if you do so, like my weakness as a presenter, Jason, is timing. I go overtime. I'm ruining this because we're going overtime, I'm sure. But they're going to know that. They're going to see it because you know what? If I am bad at that, they'll know when it's 4 o'clock and it's not ending.
Yeah. They'll let you know that.
If you say, I really I'm not good at paying attention. Don't tell them that. They're going to see it if it's true. So let them discover it on their own. Maybe they'll miss it.
Oh yeah, because you could, hey Michael, you could present for 2 hours, and somebody they thought they were coming to a 45-minute presentation. 2 hours later, they never looked at their watches.
I love you. I don't know that that's true, but I love you for saying that. Thank you for saying that to the world. I did have an experience once. I was presenting to Greeks at Oakland University, and they went in saying they're not going to stay. We're giving you an hour.
Yeah.
They're not going to stay. Now, I understand why the advisor did that because that's their experience. This advisor knew what they were going to do. So I was presenting something, and we were having fun. There were about 100 of them, and we got to the end point, and I could have ended. I actually could have ended it, and I said, I have a lot more to do. She goes, not one of them left. Keep going. An hour and 40 minutes, right? So but that's a rare moment. That's a golden moment. We're lucky if we get that twice in our career, right? And by the way, it's the same for the advisors. The advisors know it too. Even when they're having a great session with their students have to go sometimes. And it's not that they want to go. They have other things. They're busy. Right,
they are busy. But I think one of the things that we could all learn from you is, be authentic, but bring some energy, right? And if you know as an advisor that you're a very low energy person, if you know that you're going into presentation mode, act, right?
Do we have a second to talk about that?
Absolutely, yeah.
See, this is what I fear. When we talk about this is when I do presentation skills and I say you have to be enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And I try to always make sure that I am enthusiastic, right? When I was in kindergarten, I was the boy of the week. I was the last boy of the week. Every kid was the boy or girl of the week, right?
Yeah.
I was told that I was cheerful, kind, but most of all, enthusiastic, right? All true about me. Those are all things, even when I was 10 years old, okay? But my brand of enthusiasm is only one brand of enthusiasm. If you are an introvert type, that doesn't mean that you can't captivate or hold an audience. What you need to do, though, is own your way, everyone knows when you're excited about what you present on. Everyone knows when something matters to you based on how you convey yourself, right? I always tell this story. I was when I was the director of the Student Center and Student Leadership Development at Quinnipiac, a student came to my office and he was, you know, the hemp necklace wearing, scruff, shaggy dude kid, right? The kid I never was, but I always thought was kind of cool, right? Yeah. He came to my office and he wanted to reboot the outdoor club, the ski and snowboard club, right? And he was laid back and he came in and I said, so tell me, you know how I am, like, tell me about what you want to do. I'm excited to think that maybe we'll get the club back and running. And he went like this, Jason, I swear to God, he went. And he had blue eyes. He went, Mr. Miller, I never, ever feel closer to God when I'm on the mountain. He said, and I think that every person should know that feeling. Jason, I was like this. I was like, yes, we have to find this club. Yeah. And this kid on his own got together with other people. We had names of students. They did 6 trips in their first year. There were 80 kids involved. But it was that low but intense. That worked for him. And I always say, if you can harness that and find a way for that to be your demeanor and own that, then that's your brand of what mine is over the top, right? I worried first about me because all of this, I'm in a little box right now. How could you put this in it doesn't translate, it doesn't work. Fortunately my clients are saying it's working. They're feeling the energy, but I worried about that. I need my whole body. I need my legs. I need the big backdrop. You don't need all of this all the time, right? But if it works, it works. Sure. And we have to be our best. The only shot we have of being perfect, either as a presenter or as a person, is to be our best self. If I tried to be Jason LeVasseur, and Lord knows I've tried to be Jason LeVasseur, I could not be the best Jason LeVasseur. You know why? There's already a Jason LeVasseur, and he's the best at being Jason LeVasseur. And by the way, it goes back to owning yourself. The things you think aren't good, or the things that you don't like about yourself. There's lots I don't like about the way I present. There's lots. I worry. I look crazy sometimes, right? And I once said, do I look crazy in that video? And my agent said,
well, but you own it. Right, you own it. You own it. You're unabashedly yourself, and I encourage everyone to be themselves. Right, I bring you here because I want you're not going to be anybody but yourself.
You have to be yourself.
You got to be yourself.
You have to be great.
Yeah.
Because you know why? If you're trying to be somebody else, I'm not saying you can't model yourself after someone, or you can't learn things that would make you better that other people do. I'm not saying there's plenty to learn. I've learned from a million people, but you got to own what the core of you is. And and by the way, part of our work in life, and I believe we never know this until we die, even when we die, we don't know, is discovering that and owning that. It takes a long time. Yeah. But if our kids on campus could do that now, imagine if they started to get a jump on that.
Yeah.
You're gonna go so far. You're gonna go so far if you start to own what's good about you. And I don't know why that's so hard, but I think there's something human about that. It's normal.
Right. But I think everyone's trying to. We and advisors, we encourage everyone to be an individual, right? But I think God, we could talk about this for another hour. I think I had a conversation with a group of students. And one of the students didn't want to post anything because she was worried that it wasn't. Yeah, that she would get. But I was like, wait, if you're being authentically you, who cares if not everybody likes you? Really? I mean, we could talk about it. Not everybody is going to like you. No. When you are authentically yourself, you're not going to win over everybody. Because you're going to win over your true fans. People might tolerate you, but not everybody's like you. And I know this because I've been writing songs for my whole career, right? I write songs and I put them out there in the world. Not everybody likes them. I'm cool with that. I still write more songs.
It's hard though.
Right, sure. But you get over it. The more you put yourself out there,
yes, it's like riding a bike. You get used to it, right? And by the way, you also, as you move through your life, and our advisors know this completely, and hopefully, and our students know it too, because some of them, you get sick of pandering to anybody else. And by the way, it is important, if it's important to you to be liked and respected, then you have to behave in the ways that earn you that, but not at trading on your values or on who you are and what means the most to you. The problem is there's a void, and sometimes we don't know what means the most to us. And some of us are still learning that. And that's why I'm not above anybody. I know people my age that are still learning that, still learning what means the most, their values, you know. But one thing our advisors do very well is, and I think that anyone who's worked with college kids on a campus in the ways we do as an advisor, you know that sometimes the most important moment is when you give them negative feedback, when you jar them and say, why are you behaving that way? And you know, if you have the right relationship with the student, you catch them and they go, what do you mean? And then you have a fight sometimes with the student, and then you see the recognition and you're helping them. That's what we do. That's the life transformation of our student affairs colleagues. That's what they're doing every day. That nobody really knows what happens in those one-on-one meetings with their students, but that's what they're doing. They're giving them direct feedback about their skill sets and challenging them to be better. I had a student once, a freshman on my student government. He was a jerk.
Yeah.
but a powerful jerk. Like, you know, when, you know, in student government, when you're the advisor, you sit at a table separate from the students. You know, in program board, they bring the advisor to the table. Student government puts you on your own table, right? Which I never minded. I love student government. But I'm watching this freshman senator, and I'm watching the way he interacts, and I'm noticing he has influence. Like, people pay attention to this kid. They pay attention to him. But he's a jerk sometimes, and he says stupid things, and it's immature. And by the way, I'm like, I got to do something about this. And by the way, I was leaving the school, like I was in the last semester of my employ there.
Yeah.
I called him into my office one day, and I had a great relationship with these students. I loved them. They loved me. It was, and I don't mean that sound like overbearing. I just love these kids, and it worked. And we worked together, and we had lots of fights, and we had lots of fun. But this kid comes in my office, and I said to him, I said, his name was Michael also. I said, Michael, it's going to go one of two ways with you. I said, you're either going to rule the world, or you're going to end up nowhere. I said, the chance of you ending up nowhere, the only reason is because you're a jerk. And I want to give you examples of things that you've said to people that I have heard. And this kid was angry, floored, and I said, but you could be great. You could be great if you minimize the jerk. I said, so it's your choice, but I'm telling you this because I'm not going to allow you finish college and you to find out 10 years after you graduate that you're a jerk. I said, and by the way, I define jerk.
Yeah.
This kid went on to be a major leader in the student government, and actually was the CEO. I recently read he sold his company for some millions of dollars, and I'm happy that I don't know that I had anything to do with that, but I like to think that even if things went wrong later in his career, that somebody told me to pay attention. And by the way, our advisors are the unsung heroes because they do that every day, and we try to do that in our presentations to acknowledge.
Well, it is important to tell students when they're doing great things, but also to help students realize where they could improve.
Yes. I mean, and again, not getting into the details of why he was me, but I didn't just say that. I gave him feedback. We had a major conversation. We parted, advisor and advisee. We parted friends. This kid reached out to me again.
Yeah.
Relationship there. You can't do that when you don't have a relationship. You have to have a relationship. So it sounds harsh, but it wasn't. It was in line with our tone.
Sure. All right, Michael. We've learned a lot today.
Yes, and you got me to sing, Jason.
I did, and I'm unapologetic about that. I wasn't expecting it so early on in our conversation.
Well, what's the number one rule of improvisation? Yes, and.
Yes, and, yeah.
I'm glad that I wasn't put in the position of trying to block you.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. These interviews have been really fun. They really have. Yeah. Michael Miller, don't hit leave the meeting after I say goodbye.
Okay.
I'm just going to stop the recording.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Michael Miller, for being here. It is always a pleasure. We'll see you again soon.
Anywhere on Zoom.
I love you on Zoom. I love you everywhere. All right, bye.